Hey everyone, welcome back to Empowered and Out, the podcast where we focus on building careers that actually feel aligned, confident, and sustainable. I'm your host, Jonathan, career coach and advocate for showing up fully at work. And this season, we're talking about visibility and authenticity, what it really takes to unmask, own your identity, and lead without leaving parts of yourself behind. And this year, we're doing things differently. We're elevating, we're expanding, we're prospering together through real conversations and coaching centered insights. My goal is to help you reconnect with your confidence, trust yourself more, and start making career choices that support not just your success, but your well being as well. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get into today's conversation. So today I am excited to be joined by Emmanuel Denizot. Emmanuel spent 25 years working in film and television translation before creating Partant, intimate weekend experiences in southern cities. After running a film club in France and living across Paris, London, Buenos Aires, and Lisbon, he composes small group weekends in Lisbon that balance just enough structure with space to breathe. And his first season launches this autumn in 2026. So let's dive in. But I have to admit, we have to start off for something new this season that I thought would be fun. And I've already told Emmanuel about this. We're going to start with an energy check-in. So Emmanuel, on a scale from 1 to 10, how is your energy today and what's contributing to that number?
Oh, hello, Jonathan. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here on this podcast, Empowered and Out. What a great name you have here. And my energy level, right? I'd say 8 to 9, really. I was really excited this morning when I woke up thinking about this podcast. We emailed each other yesterday. And yeah, I mean, we've been talking about doing this for a while. So here it is now. I'm super excited. And I think there's a lot to say because I mean, I've reached my 50s. So I think I was listening to you, obviously, introducing the podcast. I think I have a lot to say regarding empowerment because it happens at all kind of ages. And so really happy with this chat coming up now.
Well, awesome. I'm very happy to have you. Like you said, yeah, we've been chatting for a little bit. And I like what we're going to be talking about because I did, as any podcaster should do, I did my research, to kind of look a little bit into, what you're working on. And I think it's great. So let's talk about that pivot moment. Let's go back to the moment when you decided to leave behind 25 years in translation. What was going on in your life that made you think, okay, it's time to do something completely different?
Well, as I kind of introduced it, it was all about turning 50. I turned 50 a while ago. And, yeah, you realize a lot of things. I mean, you turn 50 is a big number to get to. And when you think about it, you've been working for at least 25 years, which was my case. So there's a lot of things to think about and ponder. And yeah, I thought I was reaching an age that also coincide with like 2020 and all that happened. So there was a lot for me to sort of think about. So I looked into coaching. I looked into what I could be doing to look back on my career so far. I've always been freelancing. So pivoting was kind of like something I knew about, but I never did any major pivots since I always worked in the media, basically. I started freelancing at Five in London, and I was working in TV at the time as a TV researcher. That was my very first job in the media, which was great fun. And over 25 years, I've been doing all sorts of things. But like my main area, as you said, people might not be, it's not a job that really you come across a lot of people doing that. I am a subtitler. I subtitle films and TV series. I did that for way over 25 years. And to be honest, I'm still doing it. I'm in that in-between phase. I mean, it's not a full-on pivot. Being a freelancer gives you that joy that you can sort of
Mhm.
work on different areas. So I'm still subtitling. I still have clients. I love it. I've been doing it all my life. It's a really great job. I get to over all this time, I worked on fabulous series for us, like Queer as Folk,
Oh,
the
fun.
American version. Actually, yeah, it was good fun. It's like 4 seasons of it, loved it. On British series as well, like absolutely fabulous. I worked on lots of LGBT titles as well. I worked for Ira Sachs films, was shown at Cannes Film Festivals, a vast array of films, and I was lucky to also work on lots of titles that was like really aligning with what I like. And yeah, I'm lost myself now. What was the question again? Where am I
Uh,
going?
what was
Sorry,
going
getting
on and why
excited.
so what was going on in your life that made you think it was time to do something
Yeah.
different? And I agree with you, just to kind of bounce off what you said, like when I turned 50, I kind of felt the same thing. I was like, okay, I've been doing, a lot of this work for, really it was like 25 years. I'm like, okay, it is time to do something. It's time to do something more that I want to do, what I feel beneficial, that I can follow my passion, my purpose. And, it started for me, I got into coaching and I thought that was where I could best be. And on top of that, then I started this podcast. And I definitely can say over the last year, it's been a true blessing to be able to do this podcast. The coaching's been a little not as strong as I would love it to be, but the the podcasting's been amazing. Just to be able to, you know, interview people like yourself. I love that I have the opportunity to interview people that are not, you know, sitting right next to me or even in the same state or the same country. Like you're across the world, like you're not even near me. And I love that because I feel that everyone has a voice and their voice should be shared if they want to have it shared. And I feel that I'm doing my best to get those voices out there. And when you had reached out to me, I was like, yeah, we should do this. And the funny thing is, you weren't the only one that kind of paused and took a step back and said, hey, can I come back to this? And I was like, life happens. We have things that happen in our lives, and when it's ready, it's ready. And I feel that a lot of the timing of some of the guests that I had on last season and then already starting into this season, it's the timing, it's the right time to do it.
Yeah, going back on like turning 50, it was the time for me to act on like, I think alignment, true alignment. I mean, I was aligned in my job, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
I felt there was something else, something more, but can't put your finger on it. You can't really put your finger on it. And you mentioned like you basically, I'm in France. No one's got it by now, but you're across in the US, and technology allows this. It's brilliant that we can talk to each other and feel almost physically in the same room where we're not at all. But it's magic of the internet. But yeah, all my life I was working across countries anyway. It's my job. I'm a cultural translator.
Hmm.
I will probably say that a lot. But yeah, this is where I'm coming from. And this is also where I'm going with my new project. And the pivot was like, I didn't become a coach, but I went to see a coach. And it was really interesting for me to just basically, we worked on, what I'd achieved or what I'd been doing all these years, where I started from. And then you don't do that on your own. You realize, as a freelancer, you're always thinking about the next gig, where it's coming from. For me, it was filmed. Where was my next film coming from? What festival I was going to? You're always running somewhere. I took the time, turning 50, to sit down with someone whose job it is to relax and to really look back. And from that's sort of when I realized, yeah, something was happening, and it was slow. It was gradual. You mentioned that we reached out earlier in last year, and then I posed it because same thing happened. Sometimes you think you're ready and then you're not, and then you need to take the
Hmm.
time. And I wasn't ready at the time, and I feel really ready now, and also start of the year. But yeah, coming back on that coaching really gave me keys to like really think, okay, I'm good at this. I did that, but I could also do this and that. This is what happened. And I think that's what a coach is about. And it was really, really brilliant. And from that, I was really into the coaching all of a sudden. I'd never got coached before in my life ever. And now I realized, oh, this is brilliant. So I went on to another coach who was organizing his first week of reset with other solopreneurs. And that was fantastic. And we'll probably talk about it later. I don't know, but that was fantastic for me to meet others who were doing the same kind of process,
Hmm.
pivoting or where I'm going, and take the time. And we had 5 whole days in the mountains, no phones, no internet. It was full on, like detox, digital detox as well, and lots of it was brilliant. Lots of workshops, and yeah, we actually talked to each other because we had no phones. In these days now, everyone's on their phones. That was brilliant. That was like it was magical. And during that phase, for me, it was a revelation. To be honest, it was like an epiphany. I was like, well, I know what I want to do. I'd been traveling for 2 years before that. I'd been traveling a lot across the world, basically, as a nomad, and I loved it. And everyone was telling me, but you love traveling. And yeah, I want to do something with travel, but what is it, you know? So coaching, yeah, working with coaches really got me there gradually. It was really fantastic.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that those coaches helped you because that's what we're supposed to do. That's our goal is to help you to see where you need to go and where you want to be. And so that's wonderful. And I love that you did something that completely disconnected. Now, you and I, being in our 50s, we grew up with no cell phone. Like there wasn't technology like
Yeah, it
that.
was good for me going back in the past, and I loved it.
It was wonderful. I honestly, there are times that I really, well, here being because I live in Colorado, I love when we go into the mountains and we get to a point where there's no cell phone signal because it's like, okay, we can
There's no
actually have a
signal.
conversation. We can chat. We can really enjoy our company with each other. And I think too many times now people are getting too connected with it. And I know this from a guest that I just had on who is not of our generation, who very specifically started off saying, yeah, I know I live on my phone. And listeners, that you will have now heard him by now, but he is a Gen Zer. And Gen Z, that's what they grew up with. They grew up with cell phones and technology. We didn't grow up with that. It was a very fascinating conversation that I hope the listeners enjoyed. And if not, if you haven't listened to it, please go and listen to it. So let's talk about Partant, which has such a distinct feel to it. It's intimate, cinematic, and a little romantic. So when people ask what you do now, how do you usually describe what you're building?
Well, it's really early days and I'm only starting, but the way I describe it is I invite people to come for a weekend, an intimate weekend, up to 8 people maximum. So we are a small circle, and the idea is to get strangers together, but in a way that it's the atmosphere does it that you're feeling quite confident. I work with affinities, so before people join, I've spoken to them and I know what they like. And the theme of Partant is culture. So they know they're going in for a culture weekend. They know they're joining like-minded people who are into arts, into cinema, reading books, so they know it's not going to be like a full-on tech sort of vibe.
Mhm.
And not just tourism either. They're going for the long run, like as in we're going to special places. What I want them is to feel that they just meet and they have the time. So I mean, they can have their phone, but it's but I won't take it that far. But the idea is to really get the scenes that they really feel comfortable in, and they actually get to talk to each other and properly meet, which I find is difficult, as you were saying, in this day and age with phones. And it's not just Gen Z being on the phones. I am on my phone a lot too. They are addictive little things.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And Parton is also about that, is also about offering people a break, a couple of days, like a weekend, where you can really truly disconnect. You were mentioning the mountains. This is happening in city. There are city weekends, but there are ways to just go to see a ballet, to go to a special place together. We're going to go visit an art gallery with the artist, asking him questions directly,
Oh,
so
that's
you're not
fun.
on your phone. Yeah. True connection, authenticity is what I'm offering with Parton's Weekends. This is coming from what I've always been experienced all my life. I've been traveling across Europe most of my life, not just for work, just also for loving it, meeting friends. I was lucky enough to live in London in my 20s. So I met people from all over the world, and I love Europeans. So all my life, I've been invited to weekends to places in Europe. I'm sort of like kind of recreating this with people that don't know each other. And the point is, over a weekend, you can really, by Sunday, I want them to leave and think they can reconnect and want to join in again and meet again in another capital on their own, whatever, with the new people, the new friends they made. That's the feeling I want to give out. And I think it should work.
So what do you hope that people feel when they first hear about Partant?
Yeah, I hope they feel it's for them, the way it's designed, the way I talk about it. It's basically, I think if you know that it's for you, you will know the way I describe it. That, it's not for everyone. It's not, it's not about
Yeah.
nature. It's not about running. It's very, it's unusual. Basically, it's really coming from the arts. It's really coming. I want to compose it as scenes, like a film. So there'd be no drama, but some kind of tension. You're not sure where you're going. So also this it's got to be people that want to trust in me, and they probably trust in my profile. I've been working in all these film festivals across the world all my life. So I'm kind of using all this material, from meeting all these people, from going to all these parties and special places I've been lucky enough to visit in my life. This is what I want to use, all this material I've got inside of me. And yeah, it really is for people that who are into arts. So that, and they have affinities from the beginning. So they know when they join that they'll find similar types, creative probably, and they can have discussions and then over a couple of days and then happens what happens.
Personally, it sounds wonderful. I love that. And, just
Would you join then?
I totally would join. That it
Excellent.
actually
Excellent.
sounds a lot of fun. I mean, I love the arts. So, and I love the arts. I love history. I love
Yeah.
anything that I can get where I can learn. And I love the possibility, which I personally would probably want to do. I would disconnect to a point so I could really be focused and I could learn and I could be present. Now, I don't know if that's, kind of what we just touched on a little bit, just because of our ages, it's kind of nice to step back and enjoy what we get to see. But even when I'm here and I happen to go to the theater or some type of art, installation, whatever it might be, I put my phone in my pocket. I want to enjoy the experience,
Yeah.
because I didn't come here just to go to that place. I wanted to, for me, I'm an artistic creative person to begin with, so I love being able to see what other people do that I may not be
Excellent.
able to do. Because me, I cannot paint or draw to save my life. I can photograph. I'm a photographer and I can photograph things. And obviously I can speak and I'm in a choir, I sing. But I love seeing what others can do to share their creative, like their expertise and what they were able to create. It sounds wonderful. I would 100% be in. So that's just so.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, basically, the idea came up to me because I thought, well, that's what I like doing. Like you, I love going to the theater, I love going to see a ballet. But, you have to like ask a friend to come along or go on your own. It's great, but, you have to make the effort. I was thinking, to be honest, that the project I'm building is coming from something I was looking for and could not find. This is where it's coming from. Comes from the heart, but also like I thought to myself, I love meeting new people. I would love to go for a weekend. I go solo on my own, a lot on my own. But
Mhm.
I don't. I was thinking I would like to join people, but I don't want to be like with them all the time either. I want to find that sort of in between. I haven't mentioned it yet, but also these weekends they would offer a lot of liberty. Basically you would meet up at 11 a.m., then meet up at 3 p.m. again for another activity, but you're not not totally like it's not a group tour or anything like that. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of freedom, which I find that solo people might enjoy. I certainly do. So
Nice.
it's a program that's composed for you all around the arts. You don't need to be an artist at all, of course. All you need to do is to be curious. It's for curious people. People who are curious to meet others, talk. You don't need to know anything about arts. If you don't, not a problem at
Yeah.
all. The idea is to do things together, talk about them between a show and the exhibition you've seen. That gives you a lot of things to talk about, and that's a nice thing. And then there's time off, and you can have a rest. Obviously we sit in cafes, we go for dinners, so it's just like things you do over a weekend in a city. Basically, it's a true city break, but it's organized for you in a way that it's nice and smooth. You don't need to worry about what I'm doing, where I'm going, how. It's all taken care of. And we're nice company basically. And when you join, because I've done the vetting and I've spoken to everyone that will be coming. It'll be all done by myself. So you trust me that the others, there will be affinities there for sure. Just the way
Mhm.
because you're curious, because I will sense that.
Yeah.
That's the promise of Partant.
Nice. So you call it the accidental but not experience. So one thing you say about these weekends is that they're supposed to feel kind of accidental, but they're actually very intentional. And you've kind of described that a little bit. What made you realize that this balance, just enough structure, just enough space, was missing from the way that we usually travel or even connect with each other?
Yeah, well, as I said, I did a lot of traveling on my life, mostly solo or with someone else, with a partner or with my family, never in groups. I'm not really a group person, funnily enough, but also that's the people I'm talking to. I mean, I'm rather an introvert and I'm going out there doing this now. So, but I think a lot of us can be like this. And I want to
Mhm.
be talking to people as well who are not extroverts. Come to Partant. This is not a place for particularly for extrovert. It's a place for everyone. And I want introvert and extroverts to meet up, to be honest. And there's room for everyone. And the idea that it's relaxed and easy. And I'd say what bring is curiosity. That is the main word for part, be curious and the rest will happen. And I'm here to take care of that, take care of the shy person in the corner and make sure there's interaction, make sure the extrovert, makes room for the others as well. This will be my job, not like a coach, but like a host.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt this came from my experience, the reset I was telling you about in the mountain. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a group person. I travel solo or with a couple of people max. So for me, it was a big step. I mean, you're talking about empowerment. I mean, that was for me. Wow. I joined for 5 days, no phone, top of the mountains with 8 other people. I didn't know any of them. I didn't know the coach. I didn't know anyone, and neither did they. And we all were like 5 days. It was like a TV program or something. I was like, how am I gonna handle this? And
See, that
I
sounds
love.
wonderful to me, but yeah.
Yeah, it didn't to me, but then I thought I'm going to join. I'm going to do it. Get out of my comfort zone, and I'm so glad I did because that's when I had the epiphany that oh my god, that's what I want to do over a weekend in a city. Like my thing is the arts. I'm not a coach. I don't want to be a coach, but I thought I want to do this over a couple of days in the city, show what I like because I've been doing that all my life. I love it. I know most capitals inside out. I know lots of people there, so I have connections. I want to, this is totally aligned with me. I want to have people enjoy this with me, and I want them to enjoy each other's company. That's what it came from. It came from that reset. When I came into the reset, I knew I wanted to work in travel, like some kind of travel planning around cities. That's where I was at. And then during the reset, talk about transformation. That's when it happened. And now it's my fuel, whenever, I mean, there's days I'm like, why am I doing this? You know, I had a good job that I love, why am I going that way? But then I think about it again and I know it's coming from deep down when I took the time to really align and look deep down inside of me. And you know that as a coach, but I didn't know that as a translator.
Yeah.
And that is, I really recommend to anyone listening, coaching, go with a coach. I mean, it's really changes, it transforms you. And you hear about stories, but people telling you, but you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, whatever, maybe, probably, but I'm happy where I am. That was what I was like. But since I've been doing it, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do another coaching session, to be honest, because it really is transformative. So take the time. I really took the time to go deep down. We did the Ikigai thing, all this. What came out of those 5 days for me was like culture, which I knew about that, travel and well-being. So all three is like, it's Spartan, basically. It's like, come for the culture, stay for the people. Come for the city, stay for the people is one of my tagline. But this really is it, come for the city, you come from the arts, but you're going to make friends as well. Get out of your comfort zone as well in a small group. That's, I think, is really important. It can probably help people as well to, they're not going to be transformed over a couple of days, but it can really help to disconnect and think,
Mhm.
of other things. And the arts do that too. I mean, the arts do a lot of things to you, and they
Yeah.
certainly open up your mind and gives you time to also slow down. And with that kind of crazy society that we need slowing down, it's slow travel is very much in the papers these days. People talk about it. I think you can really open up your mind. And when you come back, you can really think slowing down is good for me. Maybe I should do more of these. And maybe I should look into how things are aligned with me in my life on every level, not just work, but how I entertain myself, how often I go out for weekends or not, on holidays, when. I think all these areas that we can explore all our lives. I mean, there's years that you go out a lot, other years you stay in more, things
Mhm.
come and go. I
Yeah.
think taking the time to meet others and talk about all this can be extremely interesting.
So with your experience, do you think people are craving more of that right now? Like the less rushing, more presence?
I think so, definitely. I mean, 2020 was obviously a massive change for the whole world. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure. Yeah.
we all found ourselves, in stuck in. I mean, we know that people have been traveling more and more, like I did. I mean, I think we were catching up. I mean, I was always a traveler, but after COVID, it was like, oh my god, I can't get enough of it, and I went on and traveled for 2 years as a DG nomad. I just turned 50, um, and now I'm slowing down. I'm focusing on European cities, which is good enough. But yeah, I mean, people travel a lot. They do. I mean, in the US, in Europe, I mean, European flights is just full. I mean, everywhere I've gone for the last 4 years now, I didn't stop traveling. It's always full. All the flights or the air, it's crazy. It's full, full, full. And there is a shift in traveling for sure. I mean, I've always traveled, the road less traveled personally, but people are starting to
Right.
do it as well. People are starting to do it. And this is also where I want to be. And, I'll take people to Lisbon, but I won't take them to the main highlights. That's not the point of the project. The project is taking them to places that are more difficult to find by yourself, and also hidden places, but also like someone's home, like an artist house. We'll go there for dinner. The artist will have us for dinner as a little group, as a Partant group. That is fabulous. That you can't do that, with any kind of agency.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the plan, is really to go deeper into people's house, lives, work.
Again, this sounds amazing. That I just, yeah. Oh my
I hope
goodness.
it will be, but it will be.
I mean, it sounds like it to me. And I like the small group aspect of it. It's not a huge, like you can see a huge tour group when people go through just maybe a museum or whatever it might. And this, you're getting a more personable experience. And I feel that you really can feel like people are going to enjoy it more because you're getting a different experience. And I love those little, you mentioned it, like hidden thing, like hidden gems. There are so many places in a lot of cities, and I've seen this. There are a few people that I follow on, well, multiple people in different, either I think that one's in the US and one's over in Europe. I can't remember where they were, but they kind of show those little hidden gems in certain cities that you wouldn't know if you just did a normal tour. They are like, oh, this is a part of history here. This is a part of our, and it's kind of fun because you're not expecting that. And think that this is going to be a great experience for people to, even if they're in, just for instance, like in Lisbon, and they've grown up there, they may not know something that you get to
Oh,
share. And
totally, totally.
I personally think it's even more exciting when you get to share with people who are from the area and they're not even aware that this is something right next to where they might go every single day, and they're not even aware of it. And I love that. So,
Spot on. I mean, totally, totally agree with you. I mean, thanks for saying this. I mean, I lived in Paris for like 20 years. I live in London for 10 years, but I mean, you can never get enough of it. I mean, I wasn't lucky enough to live in New York, but love New York. I go there, but these cities, you never are going to start. I mean, most cities, every city, even a little town, there's always some secret that you never know of, even the
oh,
smallest
for
town
sure.
in the
Yeah.
mountain. So that's the beauty of it. So traveling is forever. It's never enough. There's always things to find out and learn, and totally. And I mean, group tours are okay. I mean, we do them. They're the things you do. But obviously, what I'm
Right.
offering is different. We won't be doing that. You probably have done it before. People that come to my weekends, they've been to Lisbon before, whatever, but they want something else. Basically, I offer something else, and you're coming for that something else. That's the point. You're coming for meeting others to start with. To be honest, is really is part of the thing. It's Partant is part of this, and
Hmm.
also, yeah, you're meeting local people, showing you the right place, exchanging with you, telling you little tips, secrets. I lived in Lisbon for quite a while. Obviously, there's a few things I can tell people. And that's what it's about. Really, there's a lot. I mean, and every weekend will be different, to be honest. There'll be surprises, and the energy will be different. Everyone will bring their own energy. I mean, the weekends will be designed by themselves. They will be designed by the group, I think. I mean, obviously, there's structure. It's all done by me, and it'll be like, you know, I want people not to feel it, basically. If I did my job well, people don't need to know what happened behind the scenes. And I'm an expert with behind the scenes. I did that all my life as a translator, subtitler. So, yeah, now I want to do that. I want to be the true cultural translator. That basically I've prepared all this for you. But then when people arrive, we want the magic of it, the magic of the meeting, the magic of going there. there'll be plan B for me in case, it rains, in case of this, in case that. But everything needs to be flowing. And I think it will, because people are curious and are happy to get together and do things. And we are in a relaxed environment. That's the point as well. Obviously everything will be done that you are relaxed.
I can't tell. Like, it sounds amazing, and I definitely am gonna keep talking about it, and sharing it,
Thank you.
especially because it does sound amazing. And I think what you're also giving is a more, which you can't really get from a tour, like a tour guide, is you're giving a more personalized experience. It's going to be a true, it's going to feel like an actual, I don't know how to, that, I mean, that's the best way I can think of it. It's like a more personalized, like you said, meeting artists, being in an artist's home, having dinner. That's not something you ever do on a regular tour. So I think it's going to be truly amazing. So let's talk about beauty, mood, and meaning. And that really connects to something else I noticed about your work. Beauty and atmosphere are everywhere. From how you write about cities to the scenes you curate. What do you think that love of creating a feeling comes from for you?
For me, it comes from cinema. I mean, I've always been a cinema lover. I've been going to see films ever since I was a child and always loved it. I know that that's where it's coming from, but I do like aesthetics, in general. I mean, I do like nice environments. That comes from my childhood as well. We kept moving around with my parents, and we kept redoing houses and decorating, and I loved it as a child. I was always into all this. My sister's an interior designer. We do
Huh.
like nice looking things. I love, you know, nice hotels, and I'm very nice cafe, nice boutiques. I really, really I am attuned with aesthetics. It's really part of me, and I like nice scenes and nice moments, and that, yeah, it's from the films. And I want these weekends to be like a little film that you're going through. Like it's so it's not fiction anymore; it's reality. But it's like, yeah, because what will come out of it will be like the Richard Linklater trilogy. Before sunrise, before sunset. We'll be going through all that. Strangers they meet, what happens? I don't know. That's not part of the program. Happens what happens. So
Hmm.
that's the interesting thing as well. I find you won't get that in a tour group. This is designed that you're going to get connected several times during the day with this little group and gradually get to know each other. Really, I think it's like a treat. Both for me, for the host, and for them.
Do you think beauty is kind of underrated when it comes to healing and connection?
Probably. I think you do have a point here. I think, hey, yeah, beauty has for me, when I feel bad, if I go to a nice hotel, a nice little boutique shop, I feel better. And yeah, go and see a film, go and see a play, go and see a ballet. I mean, I love ballet personally, but probably because they're beautiful. Um,
Hmm.
and there's no words. You're focusing on the dancing and on the stage, the beautiful decors, the costumes. When you come out, you feel relaxed and you feel different. Even I could even say transformed. I've had experience, and it's amazing ballet that you come out, you're like, wow, you feel different. So
Uh-huh.
the arts has that power. Yeah, they do. So because we'll be doing a couple of things like that during the weekend, it will. I'm sure. And when you come home, you really energized for the week as well, and probably the month coming up. That's a week. A good weekend does that to you. You have the expectations first. It's all, and then there'll be a bit of mystery, who's going to be there, and all that. So it's kind of anticipation, could be exciting. And then the nice weekend, and then you come back, it stays with you. The way it'll be designed, it will stay with you, and things might happen in your mind. I mean, we did do a little pilot back in December with a few friends, and my cousin was there, and she made a big decision. We talked about it over the weekend, just casually here and there during the weekend, going from one spot to the next. And then a week later, she sent me a message saying, "Thanks again for the weekend, it was fantastic. I also wanted to tell you I took my decision. I'm gonna no, no, no." And she decided like she's not gonna be teaching one more class, or she's doing one less class or whatever. So, you know, that was interesting. I think when you go away from your own city, change countries, different environments anyway, a different
Hmm.
environment always helps you to think differently anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes, your cousin making a decision, she might have needed that away time that's what she needed. She needed
Totally,
to get
that's what it
away,
was.
and that's what it was. And that helped her, not necessarily like a healing, but it helped her really realize, kind of get more present and say, okay, well, I don't want to continue doing this, or, I want to make this change. And
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to get out of our own surroundings to realize that. So,
That's precisely
and
what happened. That's precisely what happened. She had to take away, and then she realized she loved those weekend getaways and she wanted to do more. And in order to do more, she needed to work less. So that's what it was.
so the emotional side of starting over, as poetic and as all of this sounds, I'm guessing the reality of starting over at 50 wasn't always so dreamy, but what was really going through your head in those first few months?
Well, I mean, it was last year that I really came up with the idea. That went to that reset, and so it's been a whole 6 months. I've been really working hard at it now. I'm designing the project. So yeah, I mean, there's days that you're really energized. You asked me the beginning of the postcard, you ask about the energy level. Today was high energy level because it's coming real. I mean, you're basically the first person I'm talking to, properly out in the open, to be honest. And we can use the word out, empowered and out. I feel empowered and out today very much. But let's be honest. I'm building a project. It's not that easy in any way. I mean, I am experienced. I've done things in my life. I ran my own film club for 5 years. I've done things with people and community, but still, it's always like a bet. It's always a bet to think, oh, I'm going to put this thing out there and people want to join. I mean, you have to trust yourself. You have to have confidence. That's not the way I was designed, to be honest. As I said, I'm the introvert, rather shy, not so confident at all, to be honest. So I think it's also part of my healing process, to be honest, what I'm doing now later in life. I think I've empowered myself, really, but it doesn't happen overnight. And it's been happening I worked hard at it, it's been happening the last 30 years, but I think it's still very much happening. And I think doing this, putting myself out there, taking risks is also another way of empowering myself. Very much, and also part of a healing process. So I think to anyone listening here, get out there and trust your guts. And fear is part of it, but you can work around your fears. That's what I'm doing. So I won't say fear is still very much here, but I'm working around it, and also action. And now that, this podcast, I think, oh my God, this morning I thought, yeah, it's true now. So I can't say to myself, it's not happening. It is happening. Action brings,
Once
action
it's
gets
out
you
there, it's out
confident.
there.
It's out there. Yeah. I've been writing about it on LinkedIn and all this. So I've been writing about it a lot and be telling people I have to. I mean, I'm talking to partners, it's happening now. And
Yeah.
I find action really builds up the confidence. And you know that as a coach, but I think it's important to say it because often we all full of dreams and things we'd like to do. And I've been toying with this weekend thing. It's not something that came out, out of the blue. I've been toying with it for years and years, to be honest. For many, many years, I was like, oh, I want to do something around travel and the arts, but not sure what. There's also a lot of like, you don't dare, the daring thing, the daring process. I think it's very much what you want to be telling people with this podcast. And that's you're interviewing people around this, I think. I think it's important to tell each other, also as a gay community, that, I mean, it's so easy for us. As
Hmm.
children, we tend to play a role because we have to. Definitely people our generation, I think it's better for younger people. I'm convinced it's better for younger people now. But people our generation, we've had to fight our way through, haven't we?
Yeah,
You
for
find
sure.
out age 50 that you feel less, yeah, you obviously, I'm not sure you're wiser, but you have more life experience and overcoming your fears. For me, it's still a process, to be honest. And becoming a host for other people. And as I said, I am not an extrovert. I think I want to be talking to introverts out there. Come over and we'll work it out together. We can have a good time. And if people want to be on their own, they can be, if they want to take time off. This is the sort of group that I'm offering. It's not a full-on group. Everyone has to entertain each other and be really hyper.
Yeah.
No, on the contrary. The arts is for us to relax and talk. And if we don't want to talk, we're going for a walk on our own, we can. So it's kind of different. And it's not the usual, tour guide that you'll find for most people. And that's not the point. And if you're into that, you won't be coming to Parton the way it's designed. I think people get it.
For sure. And I think that I love how you said you've taken the action. One of the things I learned when I first got into coaching and when I was nervous about putting out content, trying to get the clients, whatever it was, just take the mess. One of my coach told me, take action. Even if it's messy, it's actually you're going to be a lot more relatable if it's not completely perfect, and people are going to be more drawn to you. And even to this day, when I do potentially, when I'm doing like a video, if I do record a video and I might mess up, it's like, okay, well, I messed up. And that's more real than trying to make it so perfect.
Yeah.
And also, I think I've mentioned this before on my podcast. I am definitely not an extrovert. It might sound funny because I'm doing a podcast, but it's also easy. Well, now that I actually record the video part of it that I didn't used to do, people can see me where they didn't used to. When I first started 5 years ago, I didn't, or actually, I guess now 6 years ago, there was definitely no video. Like, no. I want to be behind this microphone to be able to say what I want to say or share. And I think that you saying you're an introvert, but you're kind of like you're like an extroverted introvert.
Totally.
You have to
That
get
was
out there and share, when you're going to be giving these tours per se, like sharing this information. But if you were truly an introvert, you wouldn't be talking. But I think
no.
you're right, though. It would actually be perfect for someone who's honestly an introvert. Because if you're being able to step into the arts where you can kind of step into that piece, what you might see or whatever you can actually kind of involve yourself in what you're doing. And I feel that sometimes in artistic spaces like ballet, like theater, like cinema, whatever it might be, it sometimes is actually even more impactful to someone who's an introvert more than an extrovert, because they can really dive in and they can really enjoy the experience more.
Totally. That's my life experience. I always found joy in the arts. It's really helped me through my life. And you're right. I am not an introvert these days so much. It's true. I mean, I worked as an interpreter with major celebrities. I've been out there, doing things. I started my own film club, grew it. I've been out there, but deep down, I'm still a shy person. I've met so many actors, and they are shy. You see them out there in the interviews, but I mean, I can talk about it. I work for them as an interpreter. Before the camera is on, they can be really shy. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong; it's really interesting to see. And then they go like, "Wow!" And they're like, "Wow, they're amazing." But deep down, they're not that extroverted. Often shy people, they're the ones that will get out there the extra mile, and I'm part of those. I really feel I'm this sort of person because I always wanted. I suppose action was always kind of one of my engines, and it is a good one for sure. But I was also, you talked about perfection. That's always been a problem for me because the job I was doing, obviously, there's a lot of perfection. When you're writing
Right.
subtitles, it's getting out there on the screen. There's no room for like not being perfect. It's very difficult. I'm struggling at the moment on this new project. I'm like, okay, change your mindset because it doesn't need to be perfect for people to not belong, but to understand it and to want to join. For me, it's a struggle. I want everything to look perfect and be perfect, and then I have to remind myself, look, no, people will come from the vibe, the feeling, the meeting others, the connection. That it doesn't matter if that coma is not here. But for me, it's
Yeah.
difficult. I'm working on this at the moment a lot, but it's also healing. Perfection, I mean, is overrated, here in the work environment. It makes us miserable too. I'm convinced of it, but it took me a lot of time to get there, and I'm still
Well,
working on it. It's still one of my pain points, to be honest.
and you made a really good point where you said you had to change your mindset. A lot of people don't understand it. And it's not the funny thing to me, because I do teach a lot of mindset work with clients, is it's something that's actually so simple. You just need to keep repetitively doing it to change that mindset, whatever that struggle you might have, because you are now doing something that you love and you have loved. So it's probably not hard being able to share the experiences, but you're probably the biggest challenge is getting out in front of all those people.
Mm.
But I loved how you mentioned with like actors. And so, yeah, they're complete introverts. It's really funny I've loved seeing actually interviews or even talking to, because I did a film festival in Kansas City where I'm originally from. And it was fun talking with, some of the stars that would come, because they were so shy. Like it was actually fun to get
You
them
know
kind
what
of
I'm talking about,
away.
yeah.
from the people talking to them, and because I was photographing the event, so I could have a little chat with someone on the side, and
Mm.
they were way more comfortable to talking one on one than they ever wanted to, one on one be not in front of the camera and not in front of a microphone or whatever it might be. And I thought that was really fascinating because I think what actors probably in general love is that they get to jump into a character that's
And
not
there's
them. So
someone
they get
else.
to
All
be
of a sudden, there's
something,
someone
yeah,
else.
they get to be someone that's not them. And so it's easier for them to, in that case, jump out of their shell and be that
Yep,
extroverted type person where in their real life, they're very quiet. They're very low key. They don't
totally.
want to be out and about. There are definitely some celebrities that are much more extroverted than others,
Oh,
but I think that's people in general.
yep.
And I personally loved, I was chatting about this the other day with someone, is when I did theater when I was in high school, and I loved the theater experience more than I do singing. And the reason because in theater, when you're on a stage, those lights are literally blinding you.
Mm.
You can't see your audience for the most part. You can see maybe a few rows or whatever. But when you're in, like in my case, in singing in a in a concert, you can see the entire audience. And it's a little bit more, there's a lot more pressure on you. When you can't see the people, it's much easier. And I think in a way, it's probably a little bit easier for actors because of that. Because you don't, if you're, especially if you're doing a film, if you're doing cinema, like there is no audience
Yeah,
until until it is seen. Where the stage actor, people who go to the stage, you're getting that answer right away if someone liked your performance or not, because they're applauding, or they're clapping, they're laughing, they're
oh yeah.
whatever it might be, or they're wanting to come and see you at the theater, after the show, after the performance, and so be it good or bad. So
The theatre has to be the most difficult for sure for an actor, for sure.
yeah. So let's talk about learning to curate community. So you actually mentioned this. So before Partant, you created the Jules and Jim Film Club,
Yeah.
which was also bringing people. It was about bringing people together around story and conversation. What did that experience teach you about what happens when you put the right people in the same room?
Well, the attraction was the film, basically. Obviously, it was a film club, so the people were coming for the film. But just the fact that you're picking this one film makes there's affinities in the room anyway. I noticed that, right? And the version I put out there was more than a film club. We'd actually meet after the film with the critic or whatever artist I'd invited. We go to small venue, closed venue in a room. And it wasn't like a party, it was more like, conversation, but outside the cinema. So there would be like the one conversation in the cinema after the film, about like 20, 30 minutes. But then people were invited to join, so less people. But the one more curious, they could join and meet the artist or the critic. And people loved that. And that was more like a community. And that's
Mhm.
what made the difference. And that's how I learned to build community. And I found it was easy. It was just the way the film I picked would make people come, and then if they like this type of film, then, they'd have affinities with the others. It was really, and I really believe that. And that's for Partant for me. I know for a fact that just the way I've written it, the way will talk about it, the way I will advertise about it, people will pick things and sense, and there's a sixth sense that we all have, and definitely in the arts. So I know that happens. So people related to each other. They might not be the best friends in the world in the end, but there was some connection there. So that sense of community, I really have. I mean, we know about it. It's just gay people, obviously, but gay communities, there's all kind. There's the whole one, but there's all kinds within that range. It's all down to who you are and how you interact with people. But also the host obviously makes the whole difference. If I get people, feel comfortable, that will be my job, obviously, getting people to feel comfortable from day one, from the first minute, the first evening when they turn up. There's a salon, and we talk. It's not like what do you do, where do you live. It will be like different interactions, more about what novel do you like, what's the last show you went to see, or oh no, I don't like theater, I prefer whatever. It'll be around culture from the beginning, and that will be the community building that, and hopefully people want to see each other again, after that.
That's wonderful. So let's talk about, excuse me, let's talk about the deeper why. You've said you didn't start this because you had a business plan. You started it because you had to. When you think about that now, what was really pulling you forward, even without knowing exactly where this would lead?
Well, it's different factors. And this Jules and Jim Film Club, obviously, was probably the beginning of it. I mean, it was putting myself out there. Obviously, I had to host this party. We get like, big people, celebrities, and we had people. I mean, they had the director of Paris Opera Ballet come and introduced a film. The film biography, filmography about Nureyev, the dancer. So there was a lot of work there, and I loved it. And for me, as a translator behind the scenes, I was sort of out there, going not on stage, but almost. But at least working with artists directly, which I loved. And that was one element. And then, yeah, and there was that I stopped doing it after 5 years. Basically, COVID came and started traveling. And then the true revelation, I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, it was like when I did that reset thing in a mountain. That's when the deep down, the why. And that's when it all came together from when we did that workshop about what's your alignment. For me was, as I say, culture, travel, and well-being. That became Partant. Not overnight, but the feeling, I mean, I couldn't sleep that night or anything. I was like, yeah, I know it's in me, but it's waiting to come out, but it's not coming out. And it's almost like coming out, the ones that we all know, it took many, many years for me back then, but
Mm-hmm.
also for this project. And it does feel like coming out because, okay, I've got to get out there. I've got to speak to people, which is deep down, I am an introvert, get myself out there, convince people, obviously, it's not that easy for people to join something they don't know about, that hasn't started, I'd be like, ooh, so I'm going to have to convince people. I know how it'll be difficult, but yes and no. I know because people can sense that it's coming from the heart. I think that really is the alignment. And yeah, there was no business plan, to be honest. No, I never did anything in my life around business plans. Maybe I made a mistake, but no, I'm more of an artist when it comes to that. I'm definitely more of an artist in every way. And I mean, that does come out when I speak and I go all over the place. I hope people can follow. But yeah, I don't come from the business background at all. There will be an element of business. There needs to be. But yeah, the film club was like volunteer work. I started, from scratch, building it for 5 years, loving it, loving every minute of it. I do have experience with that, starting from scratch on social network, getting the community. But it kind of happened, to be honest, rather easily. People talk to each other, word of mouth does happen when it comes to the arts. People are
Mm-hmm.
curious, they're open, they hear of a new project. I really believe in it. Even though this is wider, this is on the European level, and Americans are welcome too, of course, when they're over in Europe. Lots of Americans in Lisbon living there now. And you guys are most welcome. Yeah, I think word of mouth, I really believe in it because the affinities are there and people who like arts are curious by definition. So they will look into it. They might think, who's that guy? Never heard of him, but they talk to each other and they look into it and they'll trust their hearts.
I love that. All right. So, as you've probably heard on my podcast before, we're going to change complete direction. But this is kind of what I call my rapid fire questions for
Right.
all of my guests that I have. And I love these questions because they're coming straight from the heart. They're coming straight from your whatever's on, the tip of your tongue, whatever you want to say. And I joke every time that don't think, don't dwell, just come without whatever's coming up first.
Okay, I will.
So, and I don't think anything's going to be too difficult, but I've had to really tweak my questions over my last season because, yeah, there were definitely a few questions that made people think. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's rapid fire for a reason. You need to answer quickly. All right. So, coffee at a tiny cafe or wine at a candlelit bar?
Coffee at the tiny cafe.
I love
Easy
that.
for me.
Early morning city wandering or late night long dinners?
Difficult one. Late night long dinners. I'm more of a night person.
All right. So if Partant was a movie genre, let's start that over again. If Partant was a movie genre, what would it be?
Tricky one. Not drama, not comedy. I don't know. Romance? Let's say romance. Come on. See what happens. Romance with the city. Yeah. You can be romantic with the city.
I love that. I can see that actually from what you've described and what I've read. Yeah, I can see that definitely. So, notebook or camera, which one are you reaching for first?
Notebook or camera? Both. We're not allowed to say both, obviously. Notebook. Notebook for me.
All right. And last one, what instantly makes a place feel romantic to you?
The atmosphere, the atmosphere. I'm really, yeah, I'm really prone to feeling the vibe. Feeling the room is really my thing, and so the atmosphere does it all. But it can be the lighting, it can be the people, the decor, but it can be the people in there, the energy, it can be all kind of things. And that's in spot, spur of the moment. You can't tell really. And the same place you go back, it's never the same. Have you noticed that? You go back to your
Mhm.
favorite place, you don't feel as good, you know different time, different day, different mood for you, different mood in the room. That's really interesting. I've noticed that from going back to places. So you can't really say why. You can't really tell. You don't really know. There's some kind of magic.
I like that. All right. So before we wrap, Emmanuel, what's one way people can bring more presence, beauty, or intention into their lives right now, even without changing everything overnight?
I think it's easy. I think, yeah, just be more aware. I mean, it's kind of maybe a little cliche, but being aware of, and it's very much a cliche, but never mind. I mean, I think living in the moment, we forget about that. We live in our phones, we rush everywhere. I've learned over the last few years to really slow down, and that makes a whole lot of difference and you feel much better, less stressed, and you feel better. Healthier in every way, and beauty is everywhere around you, even when you're down, even when you're going through a rough patch, and that's probably when you need it most. I
Hmm.
also realize that, and when you need it most, beauty is out there for you to grab. You can grab it. It's that bird in the morning. It's that nice smile on the street. It's that person holding the door for you. Beauty is everywhere.
I love that. And I agree with you. Slowing down, oh my goodness, it is what I think we kind of learn it a little bit more as we get older. It's so funny because when we're younger, we want to be a certain age. We want to be this. We want to do this. Especially like I remember, I remember when a little bit different living in the United States compared to, over in Europe. But I remember, I want to be 21 so I can legally drink. And then it was like, okay, why was I rushing so much for that? That was dumb. And
Are
then,
you still drinking now?
not as much as I used to, just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it is what I don't need it. But then there's, I love spending time with friends. I think you really realize your friends and your
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
especially when you have like our parents as they age. They only last for so long. Your parents, your grandparents, your relatives, they're only around for so long. We're only around for so long. And I feel that when you get to spend that time with your family, get to learn more about that family member, their stories, their experiences. I think it would be interesting. And I thought about this when you said how you had realized at 50, making a change. I think it'd be fun to interview maybe some of like parents and say, did you feel the same way at 50? Or was it 40? Because they always say that midlife crisis. And I wonder if that's just a normal thing we just have to go through and that's just kind of what happens. Or I don't think it's unique. I'll just say that because I had the same thing at 50. I was like, okay, I got to do something different. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think that it would be fun to interview people that are like our parents' age or that say, did you feel the same thing when you
Totally.
got to this age?
It's a great idea. Brilliant. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe they'll do that next season or something.
It's a really good idea. I'm sure they have a lot to say. See, the older you get, obviously, more life experience, and you have another outlook on things. And as you said, when you're younger, you're hoping this, you want that, you're hoping you'll become this and that, and you'll get so busy doing it. And I did that. I did all of that myself.
Hmm.
The career path that shows it's no easy ride in whatsoever. Working in the film industry, it was nothing easy. Loved every minute of it, but it was hard work getting out there. It was difficult. Looking back at it, there's things I would do differently and probably slowing down a bit, to be honest. I didn't burn out. I was lucky enough, but many of my friends around did burn out. It's a topic these days, and rightly so. I was lucky not to, but I was always borderline to. Not always, but often.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very wary now, and I will be very careful not to burn out. With a new project, you get all excited, you put all your heart in it, you work a lot, but I'm also learning to like take the time, build it gradually, which is what I'm doing, and taking action, but and build it. build it in public. That's the first thing I've never thought I would do that because I'm a perfectionist. This feels very much like building in public, getting out there, talking to you. But I feel, yeah, because obviously you're a coach and you're making me feel comfortable. And I'm happy getting out there. And this is all new to me. And it's really good. I would encourage people to do that. Take action. Don't think about it too much. I'm an overthinker. I know what it is. Try to take action. And when you take action, you build confidence and you'll start thinking less, or you'll think better rather than less. Think better by taking
Uh-huh.
action. And then the project will actually come, realize, whereas you'll think about it for years and years and then nothing happens in the end and there's no project. So I think a lot of people go through that, unfortunately. In America, I think people are more prone to getting action. In Europe, we tend to just talk and think and not do it. I think Americans are more, I'm convinced in America there's that sort of vibe. In Europe, it can be things are slower, which is nice. I do like that slower process. But when it comes to entrepreneurial in Europe, we're not so good at taking action sometimes. It's not in the culture. It's definitely in France. I think it's important to get that message across. I don't know who your listeners are, probably worldwide. So it's interesting. And there's less difference these days anyway. I think
Mhm.
some Americans want to slow down. I've met them in Europe anyway. You might be one of them, I'm sure. And there's a lot of talk about slow travel, but slow everything in the media, and I think it's a good thing. We need this. It's a hard world out there, and in our own life, what we can manage our own lives. That's the only thing we can actually do. We can't control the world, what's happening at the moment, but we can control what we go through, what we experience, and slowing down will help you. You mentioned beauty. I love that you said that. Slowing down will help you seeing the beauty. Come to a part in the weekend, you will see the beauty everywhere. Yeah, slowing down and taking action. This can go together. This definitely goes together.
I love that. So, Emmanuel, this has been such a grounding and beautiful conversation. I want to
Thank
thank
you.
you for reminding us that reinvention doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, intentional, and deeply personal. And I really think so many people needed to hear that today.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Loved it. I mean, it was really, as I said, building public for me. Loved the experience. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's getting out there. So stay tuned and listen to our friend Jonathan here. Lots of insight, I'm sure, from upcoming guests. And thank you very much for having me, Jonathan, and have a good one.
You're very welcome. So, listeners, if this conversation stirred something in you, if you've been feeling that nudge to want more beauty, more connection, or more meaning in your life, I want you to know that you don't have to figure this out alone. That's exactly why I do the work I do as a coach, helping people reconnect with their purpose, rebuilding their confidence, and starting to make choices that actually feel aligned. And if you're curious to experience the world Emmanuel is creating, make sure that you stay tuned. And I will definitely put anything out there for the listeners so you can check out and stay in the loop for upcoming weekends, city stories, and invitations. All of that will be linked in the show notes. As always, if this episode resonated, share it with someone who might need a little reminder that it's never too late to begin again. So until next time, stay empowered, stay out, and stay open to where your next chapter might take you.